We're close enough. We're gonna get going, everybody. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The roll call, please, Amy.
Mr. Beach?
Here.
Mr. Bova? Mr. Brodsky?
Here.
Ms. Burke?
Here.
Mr. Coyne? Mr. D'Elia?
Here.
Mr. Dodge?
Here.
Mr. Ford?
Here.
Mr. Karam?
Here.
Mr. Miola?
Present.
Mr. Santacroce? And Mr. Saunders?
Here.
Thank you.
You have the draft June 16, 2025 board minutes in your packet. Is there a motion to approve? Thank you, Danny. Second. Thank you. Any corrections, deletions, additions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. First item on our agenda, a resolution for an award of contract to update valve. There he is.
Here we go. This proposed resolutions for the award of a contract to Upstate Valve and Control for the purchase of 45 valve actuators to replace the existing actuators at the water treatment plant. These are the original actuators that were installed when the plant came to be in the early 90s. The water treatment plant has processed piping that contains 45 valves that are needing replacement. The Water Authority desires to replace these actuators with its own forces, labor. And we reached out to 3 vendors for quotes, of which Upstate Valve and Control was the lowest bidder in the amount of $407,676. And
Any questions regarding this? Someone care to move the resolution as presented? Thanks, Deb. Bruce, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Next one.
all right, this proposed resolution is to authorize for authorization of the use of federal fiscal year 2025 bipartisan infrastructure law lead service line replacement grant funding through the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation Drinking Water State Revolving Fund in the amount of $8,918,000 for lead service line replacements. Whereas in December 16th of 2024, the Monk Valley Water Authority received an award letter from the New York State Department of Health indicating that its lead service line replacement project is eligible for a grant award of up to $8,900,000. And a drinking water state revolving fund application through the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation is required for the execution of the funding agreement. And this resolution will allow us to close on that financing.
8.9.
Any questions regarding this one? Bruce?
So, are you aware of, or have you heard anything about, even though this is through New York State, is there any relationship to the federal funding that may or may not be in jeopardy in the future?
I was just going to talk about that in a little while, but yeah. So a subcommittee in the House has recommended for a federal expenditure a 20% reduction in the drinking water safer state revolving fund allocations, and of that, for federal money, nationwide would be about $22 million for lead service line replacements. So the money we're talking about from the bipartisan infrastructure law is a separate allocation. Once that's gone, it's gone. And so we're applying for the last year of it right now. We should know in a month or two if we're going to get one more round of this, but this money's going to disappear. It looks like the only thing left, if this subcommittee recommendation survives in the House and the Senate, it becomes an expenditure law, There's only gonna be $22 million for lead services nationwide.
And, because there was, some money in the last bill they passed for infrastructure, was any of that related to water that you're aware of?
That I don't know. I'm not aware of it being used for drinking water supplies, but I'd have to research it and see.
So we're relatively confident in this amount for how long?
Till it's gone.
I mean,
Well, for this award letter, we're looking to close on the agreement, so I think that money's in place and it's gonna,
how long are we looking? 3 years,
Next year.
2 years?
Through next year at least, right?
Through 26?
we'll spend it through next year. We
Everything.
have two contractors. One started 2 weeks ago. We got another contractor starting next week. They will probably do the majority of their work by summer of next year. So we'll spend all of that 8.9 million by end of summer next year, more than likely.
Is any of this going from the box to the house?
It's supposed to be for both sides when we can, but sometimes we can't get access with the homeowner. So in that case, they get a letter, we do our side.
So this is gonna be,
Yes, at least 30 to 40% is homeowner side replacement.
and those will be contractors doing the homeowner site, correct?
The first one started already.
We have to obtain a consent letters from the property owners to get access to allow our contractor to do the work on their property.
Did you have any conversations with our insurance company related to?
Yeah, and
part of it?
these people post their own insurance, which has been approved by GKG.
Yeah, so each contractor's got insurance that covers the property owner.
Anything else for Frank?
The draw on the 8.9 mil, how's it drawn? On what you do, or they just,
It's a reimbursement.
it's a reimbursement, so you bill them and they reimburse you? It's 100% reimbursement.
Correct.
Okay, it's good. Now, let me ask you this other question. If that money, they change their mind and that last draws or the draws start running out, any fallout plan? Because if you did the job and now EPA, the feds say, we ran out of money, now what? We just stop doing the jobs, correct?
We'd have to, right? If we found out that we're not getting reimbursed for some reason, we'd probably have to at least not do any other replacements under this program and look to fund another.
So is there a fallout plan that they're gonna notify you just in case that happens?
Well, yeah, and also, we don't do the whole entire project and then go for a reimbursement at the end. We do it incrementally. So, the most we'll be on the hook for would be whatever we did incrementally since the last reimbursement.
New York State though, aren't we?
Yes.
We're not billing the
That's
feds
New
on
York
this.
State.
Yeah,
And they're pretty good with their turnaround.
yeah.
And then once the contract's in place, it's a contract. They owe us the money.
They owe you the money.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Congratulations on, that's a nice amount. I'm sure it was significant considering other systems.
Someone care to move as presented? Thank you, Frank. A second, Rich. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Next,
The next resolutions for the award of a contract to replace the Kemple Street garage floor. That's approximately 20 foot by 35 foot in size. That's in a state of disrepair. We went ahead and advertised for bids, and I reached out personally to 8 different contractors. We received one bid.
That's it.
Yep. From Century New York Custom Concrete and Masonry on Route 5 in Clinton in the amount of $24,750 for the removal and replacement.
And that, who's the contractor? Central New York?
That's Mario.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend them.
Well, we have a lot of good specifications. We have a lot of teeth in our proposed contract. So they signed the contract, so they're subject to our terms and conditions. I'm pretty confident and we'll follow up with the inspection work. So
I'm assuming you're removing the concrete that's there, putting in at least a 6-inch pour or
10
10-inch pour.
10 inch
Nice. Heavy
with
job.
number 5 bars. So it isn't. It's gonna be built to last.
What about the old concrete? Is it infused with oil? They'll have to need remediation or?
I don't believe so. No, they can
We
just.
didn't change, we changed oil in
We don't. It's stores are gravel material generally. And what we've had problems with is our rubber tire equipment. We've had some holes in the equipment because the rebar is now sticking up. It's all in bad shape. So
There still may be an old tank up in the front of that garage, underground.
Well, that's why we're not gonna dig there.
No. Going in the back, right?
That's a pretty reasonable price too.
Yeah.
it's not bad. I mean, considering we had one bid, so beggars can't be choosers, as they say.
Any other questions or concerns? You're moving it, Frank?
If you don't mind, sir.
Sure. A second? Thanks, Bruce. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Anybody opposed? Thank you. Dan?
This resolution's in reference to continuation of a project that we started a couple years ago to enhance our raw water supply from the Hinkley Reservoir down to our water treatment plant. So this phase 3A project represents another leg of that raw water main improvement, new 54-inch pipeline. So this project requires the installation of about 3,500 linear feet of 54-inch diameter raw water main with valves and fittings from the Prospect Dam, which is south of Hinkley, but north of our water treatment plant, to our pipe bridges across from our water treatment plant. We require assistance from engineering consultants to complete the design of the transmission main extension and to prepare bid documents for construction and administer the construction. We advertised the project and received 3 bids from consultants, of which EDR of Syracuse was the low bidder in the amount of $175,025, which is within our project budget. They are currently working on our phase 2 job, so they're very familiar with the project, and they've done a really good job for us. So I think they will continue to do good work for us. So I recommend the board consider them for the resolution.
Any questions?
Well, just quick, this is gonna connect to the new lower, access to the dam, right?
It's replacing one of the lines from
Is it replacing an existing line higher up?
Right now, from Hinkley down to the water treatment plant, we've got a 36 and a 24-inch main, transmission mains. You know, in the last year, we've started to install new 54-inch pipeline from Hinkley down to the plant in the non-watered areas of that reach, that stretch. So
Weren't we going to be connecting to the reservoir at a lower level than we are now? Didn't we lower?
Well, it's all connected to the intake tower. The tower, I don't know how tall is the tower, about 80 feet maybe. And there's 4 openings. The 2 lower ones are closed off. I'm sorry, the 2 lower ones are closed off. The 2 upper ones are open. The water flows in the tower, goes down the tower, and then into the pipes. So if we wanted to get water from a lower level, we would have to unplate the openings on the front of the intake tower to draw that water. We don't, because it's more susceptible to turbidity and other changes that might happen at the bottom of the reservoir. But this line is up north of the Hinkley treatment plant, above the plant. I'm not sure if that's what you're asking.
we have a 42-inch pipe that comes out of the Hinkley Dam, and then it splits to our 36 and 24. So we're going to tap into the existing 42 with this new pipeline and do another parallel pipe. So we'll have 3 pipes in parallel.
I thought that I thought we were lowering our access in case the water level.
No, so now I think I know where you're going. So I think what you might be talking about is that the project itself will allow us to get more water to the treatment plant, even when the elevation inside the reservoir is at a lower level. Because the way it is right now, with a full reservoir and all that downward pressure in that water, it could push the water through those smaller pipes. They're constricted because of the diameter. When you put a larger diameter pipe in there, it takes less of that downward pressure to get all that water to the plant. So what it means is that in a dry spell, if the water level gets low, we'll still be able to get all the water we need, even at lower elevations of water levels.
So gravity is working in our favor.
Yeah. So it's essentially, it's going to make us more drought proof.
I mean, that was one of the original discussions was the ability to get water when,
When the reservoir's down low.
they let too much water out and
Right.
it left the reservoir too
And
low.
that's what this project will do.
And that's part of the settlement agreement, right? The 2012 settlement agreement. At the conclusion of the phase 2 raw water main pipeline, NYPA's going to be allowed to lower the level of tank leak down another 10 feet from its current low operating level. And so this will mitigate the impact of them, operating at a lower level.
Any other questions? Someone care to move it? Thanks, Frank. Second? Thanks. It was about 5. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Anybody opposed? Thank you. I think you beat Sandra with all those HR things.
Well, the next meeting we got for IT policies
I've
coming.
been missing those. Committee reports, Jim.
You doing the strategic plan, or was that?
Oh, I asked Ellis if we could postpone that. I'll talk about that during my time.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Can you hear me okay? Okay. In your binders is the 6 month, we're at the halfway point of the year. Consumption is 1.7%, almost 2% above the prior year, so we're in a pretty good shape there going forward. Water sales is 13.7 million to date, which is $287,000 more than our budget, 827,000 more than the prior year. Cash flow took a little dip this month, primarily because we used a bunch of those FEMA funds that we got in to pay for the phase 2 project that Dan was mentioning before. Remember before we had to front some money for those FEMA projects. Once we got the money back in, we can then pay some of our bills for the phase 2. So that's what we did. And so we took a little dip down in our cash overall, but we are doing pretty good at the halfway point.
How much money did you have to take out of that reserve fund?
What reserve fund?
You said you had to pull it out of.
Well, it came into our operating account from FEMA money, we just put in our operating account, and then we had to just pay it right back out.
Okay. So.
But we did send some money down to a reserve fund previously for FEMA funds that we received there. Is also going to go to the phase 2 project.
Perfect time for cash flow then.
Yes, yeah, we'll pull that down as more bills come in for that phase 2.
Any questions for Jim?
Not questions, but I just wanted to give you a brief report. There were a couple of questions recently about what's going on with Wolfspeed. Wolfspeed has become a major contributor to our supporting rate increase by having greater amounts of water that we are able to bill for. And Jim and I, Jim primarily worked on the numbers, but worked up a little report to illustrate what the situation is. We were told, as Pat had learned and communicated, that they felt very confident about their future, and that was very important to us. But for the last for a couple of fiscal years, we used the potential increase from Wolfspeed over time as a way to support our rate increase. So we increased rates based on being able, or didn't increase them as much, based on the ability to get more money. Well, one of the things we discovered was that the last 6 months, not the fiscal year, just the last 6 months compared to the 6 months prior, okay, just to see what sort of growth or not was going on, it was growing. We were increasing the amount of water, even during this time of the discussion. You started hearing about they went bankrupt and they're restructuring their finances. And so it was concerning to a lot of people about whether or not the jobs and the industry were going to be there. Their promise is that it will be there. And based on their consumption over these 6 months compared to the earlier 6 months, they are increasing. We are getting more sales, not at the level that we might have expected, but we are getting more sales. It's so far it's pretty consistent. I mean, if the corporate bankruptcy had gone in place and they had stopped everything, it would have been about a 3% increase in our rates to recover from that, but we don't have to do that. We are going to try and track them from month to month and see where it's going. And but based on the numbers that Jim gave us, I don't see any impact on the rates with Wolfspeed. I don't see any reduction necessary with more sales. I don't see an increase necessary with less sales. I think it's going to be pretty consistent as they're putting the budget together for this year. So that's a good thing, really. I think there's good potential, but just the consumption's gone up 8% current 6 months compared to the previous 6 months. The billing water only went up 20% current 6 months to the last 6 months. End of quarter account balances. The only thing that we noticed was that they have about a month behind. They're using us in a cash flow situation, which I would have expected the company to do, who's having a restructuring going on. They're gonna say, okay, how long can we put off paying different bills? They're only about a month behind,
Only a month.
so it's really not bad at all.
They're current.
And they're current now, so it's really that hasn't been an issue for us. So it's cash is not an issue. Sales have been consistent. We're just going to track it month to month through the budget process, and then next year we got a little chart that we're just Jim put together to help track it. So anybody that had questions in terms of their impact, we've been hurt by a couple of businesses related to sales. The worst being sewer. I mean, they basically was it half as much or something. I mean, it's terrible. But that's because they spent $300 million in order to change their use of their system, which reduced the amount of water that they needed. But so every new business has an impact on us in the future, and every business that's having problems, we need to take a closer look at because it affects the rates, and we're going to be coming up to rates. One of the things we're talking about is looking at the hospital, and but it's a little early yet because they haven't had a long enough time to really look at trends. But we'll do a similar chart on that probably when they have six months consistency. But in any event, I was very pleased. I thought it was worse. I told Pat and Jim I was very concerned about our rate increase this coming year if the worst happened up there, or even half as worse happened. That would have impacted probably a couple of percent increase just to cover that. So it did. It's not. So far, we're in good shape. And they're in good shape, which is even a better news than the water. The fact that they're paying their bills and
That's good news during a reorg. That's very good news.
during a reorganization,
Yeah.
right?
And this is why Bruce is treasurer for life. Any other questions or comments regarding the June finance reports? Jim, the second quarter investment statement, which
Forgot about that, yes. Yes, also behind there, I think is, no, that's good. I'll step up here, though. Yeah, apparently, yeah. So also is the second quarter of the investment report, a reminder for those that are newer. The Public Authorities Law requires that we provide you with a statement of investments with earnings year-to-date and any expenses. So that's what this does, and it's by the different funds. So I believe it's now 3 pages with the new 2025. So year-to-date, we've earned $600,000. Our year-to-date budget was only at $400,000, so we're $200,000 to the good year-to-date. So that's a good thing. We still have to contend with these arbitrage situations, so those will continue as time goes on.
Any money back to the feds?
No, only maybe by the end of this year we might have to pay something, but until it's a 5-year period goes by, which could reverse itself as well. So nothing yet.
any questions for Jim? Is there a motion to approve the second quarter investment statement? Thank you, Rich. A second, thanks. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Pat?
Thank you. Bruce stole my thunder on the federal funding, so now I got a 3-minute gap here. Actually, I want to just follow up a little bit on what you said about Wolf Speed very quickly. When we closed on our bonds this past March to fund a lot of the projects we just talked about today, our bond rating was maintained, wasn't increased, wasn't decreased, but Standard & Poor's put us on a negative outlook. And one of the reasons they said in there, in fact, the predominant reason was because of Wolfspeed. And they said they thought we were too heavily dependent on Wolfspeed. And I think at that time they may have suspected that there was a problem there. We didn't know it yet, but I think that's probably the reason why. So ironically, the good news might be that in the Wolfspeed reorganization plan, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, if you don't know, Jeff Saunders and his firm serves as counsel for Edge. So Jeff's intimately familiar with these details. But Wolfspeed has said in their reorganization, they're changing plans on what they were going to be doing in Germany. They're also going to be walking away from a facility in Texas, and they're going to build their company essentially around the Carolina plant and this one. So I think if word gets out publicly that they're rebuilding their company around Marcy, New York, to a certain extent, well, take that, S&P. That's all I can say. I think, the next time around, they won't be quite so cautious in saying, oh, we have, our eggs in the wrong basket. So that may bode very well for us. Anyway, as far as the strategic plan goes, the reason I asked Ellis to take it off the agenda for right now is I'd like to hold it back and not bring it to the board just yet. But I want to thank Bruce and Richard and Denny. Thank you. Sorry, Denny, for coming and taking the time and sitting in on the one of the sessions with us.
I sat in too.
Well, you sat in too, Ron. Oh, maybe Richard didn't. Oh, you went on the plant tour. You went on the plant tour. I'm sorry. Ron was here. I apologize. Sorry about that. I knew we had 3 board members, but we also had 4 on the tour. So we did 10 sessions. I thought they were fruitful. All the employees went through one of the sessions at least, some of them more than one. But the way the plan is laid out, we have overriding goals, objectives, strategies. The missing piece that we didn't really get into during the sessions was action plans, because those are the ones that are more definable, target dates, timetables, dollar amounts, etc. And because we were renewing a plan that was a decade old, a lot of that had been done. So we didn't get into that in these sessions. But what I'd like to do is, because Jim Corfanta and the accounting department just recently sent out all the budget requests to all the departments, what I want to try to do is, as each department goes through their budget analysis and requests for next year, we're also going to do that in tandem with developing the action plans for a strategic plan, so that any particular strategy we want to move on with a specific plan, an action plan, it'll be in the budget, it'll be funded. So I want to bring the plan in conjunction with the draft budget, and then we can link the two and we can show you which action plans we want to work on for next year and where they are in the budget, and then it'll be totally transparent, So that's the reason why I held it back. It just wasn't ready yet. And I think if you get it in the context of the budget, it'll maybe make a little more sense anyway. So unless there's any questions on that, I will move ahead very quickly and just tell you that as Dan said earlier, one of the contractors is already working on the lead service pipes. We got about 20 done so far, right? Dan's expecting they'll be doing each contractor about 15 a week. So once the second contractor is on board, we should be doing around 30 or so lead services per week between now and the rest of the year and into next year. We'll make a pretty good dent in what's out there. In the meantime, though, we'll continue to refine the lead service line inventory. Those numbers will drop, I think, as we begin to get better verification and as we do a bunch of these. So in the end, even if the money does run out, as we said earlier, we're applying for the last round of what we just got this time. If we're lucky enough to get more money, great. But if we don't, hopefully the problem isn't going to be $60 million. It's maybe going to be $20 or $30 million by the time it's all said and done. We'll see. But we're very likely going to be on our own when there's federal money out there. Last thing I was going to mention is there isn't any update as far as the Eastern transmission line goes. Still waiting for the Village of Herkimer to digest all the information they have and come up with some conclusion about where they're going. We can't really do much until they give us a definitive answer, and not a lot has changed. I met with their attorney about 3 weeks ago, provided a little more information. But to my knowledge, at least, they haven't come to any conclusion yet. So we're still in a holding pattern. So that's all I have for now, unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions for Pat? Thank you. Any old business? Any new business? Yeah, Danny.
I noticed one thing came out of the strategic meeting I was at anyway. A lot of the people up to the maintenance don't have their Class D operator's license. They need them to turn valves. You're supposed to have them. So if we have money left in the education budget, we should send them again.
I believe 5 applicants were approved, Denny, very recently. So that's a good jump. And I think Frank has a goal that all supervisors and foremen will be D operators.
They should get them. I know when I was there, even the maintenance guys were supposed to get them.
Yeah, as long as they're there to supervise it with the license, so that's the key.
Anything else, Danny? Anybody?
Just want to thank them for the tour of the plant.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that. We did do a treatment plant tour. Richard went, and Deborah, and Jeff, and Dale. And Phil did a great job explaining, I think, all the nuances. We did not get to the level where the centrifuges are kept down below. So
Okay.
we talked about it, but you didn't see anything. But it was a great tour, and we appreciate you all coming. And anybody wants to go back up there another time, just let us know, and we'll be sure to arrange that.
We're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.